Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Digital to Dice podcast. I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
And Ron, we have a super special guest for episode 191.
Requested to be on.
And you know why? It's been 100 episodes since he was on. And when he mentioned that, I was like, no way. It has not been 100 episodes. It feels like he was on here just a few months ago, but I looked it up. It was 100 episodes ago. Back on episode 91, we had Steve Tower on from After Further Review, and he's joining us tonight for episode 191.
You don't look 100 episodes older, Steve.
I don't feel it. But thank you for humoring me with my request. I was telling Dave before, I made it sort of at a jest, like, hey, the 91 should be my episode.
I was shocked when you said that. I seriously imagine that 100 episodes have gone by.
Yeah, and I remember we had a hard time coming up with who wore 91, and it was the Worm, right? Is who
Dennis Rodman.
We came up with.
Fedorov wore 91 too, didn't he?
I think so, yeah.
But now nobody wears 191, so I get
No, 191's a little shun off an interstate that takes you past the Al Red Sox fan world in Springfield.
I always had this thought, like sometimes I have time to think about weird things, and it's like, picture a team that's been around a long time that's retired a lot of numbers. What happens if they get to a point that they've retired so many numbers that there's not enough single and double digit numbers for the team? What do? Do they go into the hundreds? Do they use like 17A? I mean, that could potentially happen. Maybe not in our lifetime, but at some point, like the Montreal Canadiens, they have a lot of numbers retired, and I imagine the Yankees do too. What happens if they're like, okay,
the Yankees have one single digit number that hasn't been retired, and he just pitched a perfect game last week.
So they're going to retire that now. Huh?
So Jermaine will get retired too.
PJ has a good suggestion. Batting averages.
Oh.
There we go. I like that.
I just put asterisks or something.
We could put California Seals goaltending save percentages. 191.
Oh, that opens up all kinds of possibilities. Yeah.
Bears then said the Bears had to stop retiring numbers because they were running out of numbers. Interesting. Yeah, football. Yeah, they got a lot of football players on that team.
That's
so yeah,
true.
I would say yeah.
Yeah, but football, certain positions require certain numbers. And so it's not like you have to retire too many Bears quarterback numbers. But
yeah. Oh, boy. Anyway, hey, ways to get a hold of us here at Digital to Dice. Digital2dice.com is the website. That's digitaltodice.com is the website. 978-751-DICE is the dice line. Send us a text. Digitaltodice@yahoo.com is the email. And over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digital2dice are the ways to get a hold of us. And here in episode 191, we got a lot of things we'll talk about here. We got the community here live tonight on YouTube, so we'll be talking to them. We got a couple questions for Steve from the audience. What color socks does he wear? Things like that. Nothing too hard hitting, but we got some questions for Steve. And we told Steve he could pick the topic tonight. So, Steve, what did you decide on?
So, as anyone that's watched some of my shows, they know my affliction with fictional leagues. Well, that's easy to say. So I thought we could talk about the different ways fictional leagues are set up. The fully fictional teams, which I'm representing, my New England Minutemen from the Baseball America League. And then we have what I like to refer to as quasi-fictional leagues, where they mix fictional players and real life players. And then something that's also very interesting, the historical fictional leagues. That's where you have real players in a what if scenario. My favorite example of that is the 1957 season for second season football from Play. They actually released it with all the NFL teams, but then they also put out a what if the AFL opened in 1957 like it was supposed to. And so did just a ridiculous amount of research of what professional players would have been available to play on those teams.
Wow.
And so like a really realistic as realistic as we'll ever get of what those teams might have looked like. And so it's an interesting mix of players on teams, of like players that maybe retired just a couple seasons ago to go sell cars because they would make more money.
So what did they do with Unitas?
I don't remember,
because I think 57 was his first year as a starter in Baltimore, right? And if you go with the beginning of the year, they wouldn't have known that he would have been that Johnny Unitas.
Right. I'm not sure. I forget where he was carded. I haven't got that out in a while. But so anybody that was actually on an NFL squad, they're on their NFL teams. It's the AFL teams were opened up, and then they even put in Minnesota instead of Oakland, because Minnesota was originally supposed to be one of the AFL teams. So just a really fantastic play. And it was one of those things, I would play out a game, and then I would go on Wikipedia and look up players and be like, oh, hey, neat. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, so,
I'm willing to bet, Steve, the play community has so many people doing things in it, creating things and coming up with great ways to play the game. I would not be surprised if somebody found a way to take a football season in like a spreadsheet or something, take all the players off all the teams into a pool, let you draft them onto teams, and then print out a brand new team sheet with all the players in like a fantasy draft. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody were to do that for the play community.
Didn't they do that with the Continental League for the baseball release? Kind of similar, minor leaguers and semi-retired. I mean, Al Red Sox fan was speaking of Al, was showing that off, and that was similar type deal, that it would be quasi-fictional. And of course, that never started because the NL put a team back in Queens.
Right. They got wise. They're like, oh, wait a minute, this could actually hurt us. And
I read the other day, or saw the other day, they talked about the cities that were supposed to be in the Continental League, and 7 of the 8 became expansion franchises on their own. The only one that didn't was Buffalo. They never got, except for that month, quasi season the Blue Jays played in Buffalo because of COVID. Everyone else got a team that was supposed to be in the Continental League.
Interesting. So we got a lot of people in the chat tonight. So again, once we start talking, folks, we want to hear what you have to say in the chat as well, so we can include you on the show. Should we get into what we're playing? What do you think?
Sure.
All righty. All right, Steve, you are the star tonight, so you can lead us off here with what you've been playing.
Oh, all right. Well, I have gotten back into my Monday Night Tights series with the Face to the Mat, the Fictional Wrestling America Federation. I just finished a series using the 90s set, and when I going forward, it'll either be next week or the following week that I'll start anew with the 2023 version of the Wrestling America Federation, which is the most recent set. And then starting next Wednesday, I'm actually going to be doing a preview with the On Deck Baseball Pro. And we're going to be traveling back to 1986 to try to rewrite some wronged history.
Tell us a bit about that. He released it on your show, but for those who don't subscribe or missed it or listen to the pure audio part of our podcast, what is Ian done?
So it's pre-orders are up right now, and so it's it just tightened up the rule book a little bit. No major changes from the first edition of it, but now you get real teams with real players on it. So the starter set comes. I have it off to the side. I want to make sure I get the right. The starter set comes with the 75 World Series teams. Let's see, the 39 Yankees, the 85 Cardinals, 69 Mets, and the 79 Pirates.
Interesting collection of teams.
So yeah, and then there are going to be 3 or 4 expansion boxes you can pick up that have various collections. They're either fall classics or just great teams throughout the history of baseball, including some Negro League teams.
Oh, nice.
And all of the cards have a drawing of the player on them, which is really cool. So for your viewers here tonight, is that not going to show up? Well,
that's kind of
the cards are pretty big. It's almost like the size of a paperback book. These cards,
they're pretty big. But there's the Chicken Man himself. So, yeah, I will be kicking that off, and then. Boy, is it the week after that? Well, I guess in 2 weeks I'll be getting on a plane and heading to Denver for the 2023 Play.con.
Oh, nice.
Uh-huh.
Neat.
Nice.
Alrighty. Anything else you've been playing?
Let's see. History Maker Baseball in the co-op league, and then the second season of that. We're into July, and actually was able to swap the schedules around of some. So I'll be one of the players is going to be at the convention. So we're going to play our game head to head.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was kind of fun the way that worked out. And then also just played out a game with the new vintage season that came out for History Maker Baseball, the 1973 seasons.
That's a fun season. I've been playing that. I forget what game I'm playing that in, but I've been playing 73 as well. I like to play the A's, obviously.
Good team to pick, yes. So
nice.
Yeah. And I was so I wasn't very familiar with the 73 Red Sox, but they actually had a decent team in 73. 89 games, second place behind Baltimore, and but they had kind of the pieces in place for their 75 run.
So they have a 25-year run when they didn't finish below 500 from 67 to 91.
Really?
Oh, maybe, yeah.
I mean, there was some the close calls that we hear about and remember all too vividly in the late 70s and such. But yeah, they went, I think, from 67 to 91 above 500. They
were always a competitive team. When I grew up in the 70s and the 80s watching baseball, they were always, second, third place team. They were never a bad team. They never got over the hump.
Right.
Except in 75 when they got to the finals there.
In 86.
Yeah.
Well, hello, Robert.
And in 1978.
Yes.
Anyway. In 1978, I was in 6th grade. And every Monday, I think it was every Monday or Friday, one of the two, we would have to clip something from the paper, and the teacher would call up and everybody would have to read their article, and mine was Bucky Dent. And I forget if it was from the Boston Globe or the Boston Herald, but I was just like, Bucky Dent. Why Bucky Dent? And I got about halfway through it, and the teacher's like, yeah, okay, you're all set. I never finished it. It's like, go sit down. Someone else come up and talk about something else. Yeah.
Only time I had to stay after school. Oh, okay, through 82. Still pretty good, 67 through 82. And even in 83, that 78 and 84 isn't terrible. So the only time I ever had to stay after school was that day because I started a fight just as we were leaving. So the Yankees sucked. And they were, Red Sox rot, Yankees sucked, 3rd grade. And I didn't get home until the 3rd inning. But yes, we had to stay after for 10 minutes. And the girls who hated baseball just, glared at us for, what are you doing? Like, yep, you're staying.
Too funny. So, alrighty. I guess I'll go up with what I've been playing. During the Steam sale, I picked up Franchise Hockey Manager 9 and Out of the Park Baseball 24. A ridiculous sale. If it's still out there, go get it. $27 for both.
Through the 12th or 13th, I think.
Yeah, so that is nuts. Yeah, that is nuts. The franchise hockey I've been doing, well, we'll probably fit it into today's discussion, is the fictional way I've been playing this. And I'm going back into the early 70s and even late 60s and picking up the Bruins with Bobby Orr and allowing the Russians to play in the league. And that allowed the California Golden Seals to get to the Stanley Cup Finals in 1969-70 because they had 3 Russians on the team One of them was a center named, I think it was Victor Petrov, who led the Seals in scoring, and he brought them to the Stanley Cup Finals against my Bruins, who I've loaded up, and the Bruins won the Cup. But it was still funny seeing the Seals and the Bruins in the Stanley Cup Finals in my what-if scenario, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the fictional stuff there. But I've been heavily into the Franchise Hockey Manager 9. I think it's their best effort so far. I think it's their smoothest effort. Franchise Hockey Manager 2, that's going way back. I don't know how many years that goes back now. I don't know if they do one a year, or if they skip the year or whatever, but Franchise Hockey Manager 2 was my 4th most played game on Steam until Digital Diamond come out. and of course, everything I play is through Digital Diamond now, so it's kind of bumped it down a couple of pegs. But I love Franchise Hockey Manager 2. The others I played, they were okay. This one is fantastic. I find it smooth. I love working the contracts now, which I never did because it helps you out. It helps you with the tactics. And just, this is the ultimate hockey sandbox for just, start the season with an initial draft, and you just get in line and pick your team. And that is so fun, is when you sit there and you're like, okay, I didn't get Bobby Orr, I didn't get Phil Esposito. Who am I going to get? Who's going to be my star on the team? Okay, Jean Rattel or whoever it is. And you just get on and pick your teams. It is so fun. I love doing the initial draft. That's what I've always done with Franchise Hockey Manager. But now that where they help you with tactics and player roles, they've really done a good job of at least helping you out a little bit so you can visually see what needs to be done. The team harmony, I haven't figured out yet, but it's kind of fun that everybody's mad at Derek Sanderson. So there's all these frowny faces and all my guys because they're mad at Derek Sanderson. So I traded him and they're still upset. I'm like, what do I got to do to please you guys? But that's been really fun. I'll get into more of that as we go along. The Out of the Park Baseball 24, I fired up, I think it was 1973, Oakland A's. And I played a couple games with that. That's been really fun. I even figured out how to get the old stadiums in there, which before I had a real hard time with it. And maybe they changed the way they did it. Maybe they didn't. I don't remember. But it seems like both of these games now, I'm getting a little bit better at finding out how to do things. I don't know, it's just because I've chipped away at it for so many years, or if it is indeed better. But I'm finding that I'm not nearly as frustrated with either of these two games right now, that I'm really enjoying in them, and they're flowing really nice, and I give them both big thumbs up right now. So I've been doing that. Those are the two main things I've been playing. I did play real hockey today, and we play roller hockey on Saturday mornings, and we play with a street hockey ball, not a puck, and we got a smaller rink. And I got the ball on my stick. Goalie made a ridiculous save, and I swooped in, I took it up, and I skated about to our bench, and I'm looking, nobody's open. Heck with it. I got a good slap shot, put my head down, and I drove it as hard as I could at the goalie from 3/4 court, figuring I catch him napping, which I have several times. This guy tends to not focus on the game sometimes. The captain of the other team sticks his stick in the way to block the shot. It hits the top of his stick. It goes up in the air, just missing the roof. And everyone's following the ball, and here's the goalie. Just doesn't have any idea where the ball is. And I says, if that thing bounces, it might go in if it doesn't bounce over the net, because it was really high. It bounced 5 feet in front of him and went over his shoulder, hit the crossbar, and dropped in the net for a goal.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And everybody, he's like, never saw it. It's like, no, it almost hit the roof. It went over the lights and everything and come down and bounced in the net. I'll never forget that one. That was a funny goal. I've had some funny goals.
See that
was
in
fun.
slow motion.
Just picture me taking a slap shot. Guy sticks his stick in a way. He hits, goes way up in the air, but it just kept on going. And I looked up, says that could go in. And I looked at him. He's like, he ain't even watching it. And it bounced in front of him. And he's like, oh, there it is. It's too late in the net. Too funny. So good times there at the rink today. But yeah, so that's mostly what I've been playing. Just those two computer games there, having some fun with that. And also just finishing setting up the new computer. I found out that Streamlabs, which is what I use to stream when I'm not using StreamYard, had me set up at a smaller screen size. So I was pumping out 720 for the first few videos. And I didn't realize that till I looked at one of my videos. I like to proofread my videos, so to speak. And I suggest anybody that streams do the same. Go look at your videos, because that's what people are seeing. And so when I saw it, I was like, boy, it's kind of fuzzy. It's only 720. Nope. When I went into the output on my new computer, it didn't have it at 1920. It had it like 1280 or whatever the 720 version is. Mm-hmm. So I bumped it up to the 1920. Now it's back to 1080. So you should see some better videos now. But yeah, so that was that. But anyway, so yeah, fun times all around over here. Ron, what have you been playing?
I've been on vacation, but it's also kind of weird because I didn't realize what we would be talking about because I've been on vacation most of the week. And what I've done is everything that Steve wants to talk about over the course of the second half of the show. Because someone bought Franchise Hockey Manager and talked about how nice it was. I spent the $10 to get Franchise Hockey Manager and like it. I would pretty much agree with everything that you've talked about. And so I made myself as a player, which is what we'll get into most in the second half of the show when we talk about these sort of things. And I wasn't having that much fun. And so I said, what the heck? Let me take the 85-86 Habs and add Wayne Gretzky.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were going to kick him out of the league. Oh, man, that would be awesome.
No, they didn't need to see Calgary upset Edmonton that year in the playoffs. So didn't need to do that. We won the cup anyway.
Then so you traded who now?
So I traded Bobby Smith for Wayne Gretzky. The computer didn't want to do it, but since I'm Lord Mayor and Commissioner, of course it's going to go through.
The force trade button is the best thing ever invented in the world.
And I edited Guy Lafleur so he would come out of wasn't he in some sort of addiction thing, rehab? Because he missed 2 or 3 years.
I thought he just retired, but
maybe he did. I'm not quite sure about that. Maybe it was just retirement. So I brought Guy Lafleur back, and so Guy's sitting on my fourth line.
So you can edit a player and get him out of retirement?
Yes. Well, no, because he hadn't retired. Remember, he would go and play for Quebec and New York.
Right.
The Rangers. So he was still technically an active player. I don't know if you can. So yes, I could with Lafleur. I'm not sure I could go through with Gordy at 80 years old or 50 years old.
I was going to say it'd be fun to take either Gordie Howe or Gump Worsley and play until they're like 60 and see what they would do.
Well, it was Pittsburgh beat me at opening night, and it was Gio Maloshin net for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So that's a ton of fun because everyone scores all the time. And so in 3 games, Gretzky has 4 goals and 3 assists. And so enjoyed that. You told me how to copy my golf courses from one hard drive to another for ASG, and so I've been playing that. And poor Brent got me doing the perfect team in OTP. And at one point, I set up a fictional league, and I made myself a second baseman. And so I've been playing a lot of that. I had planned to get started on some baseball replay. I could just kind of pound away on in any of the cards and dice games that I enjoy, and never got to that because it was so stinking hot up here in northern New England this week so I just went with what I had. But it really is. I didn't know what we were talking about until you asked Steve before the show. It's like, no, everything I played this week fits in with the topic of the show.
Yeah. Steve, you're when you play, you're down in like downstairs or something like that, right?
Yes, we have a finished basement.
That's what I have too. So it's definitely much cooler in the basement.
I'm on the 4th floor.
Yeah, Ron's up there baking in the sun. So when it's hot out and I can't get a cool down here, I don't like to play. But it's not often that it gets so hot that it's bad. I mean,
it was 82 in here last night.
Oh.
And that's where the air conditioner running and the fan on super turbo was 82 degrees. And so even if I hadn't been on a streaming vacation this week for my wife's birthday, there would have been some postponed streams. It just gets too hot to.
Yeah,
the computer
can handle that light fine. Probably makes it hot in there.
It's the operator that has the trouble with it. So
right.
So that's pretty much what I've been playing, and I'm eager to get into this conversation because it is something that.
Well, you want to do that? You want to ask him a couple of questions first?
All right. Now, the play.com games allow you to do pretty much quasi-fictional, pure fictional, historical fictional. Every time I hear that, the name Johnny Tremaine pops in my head because I think that was the first piece of historical fiction we were forced to read in school. Which of those do you prefer to do, Steve?
Well, I guess it depends on the sport. So for baseball, Well, although
You're wearing a T-shirt for Pure Fictional in baseball.
yes, yes. So I was going to say with baseball, I like Pure Fictional, but now on Thursday night, Keith just dropped this set out of nowhere for a 1974 Continental League.
Oh wow!
And it's going to be a combination of real players and fictional players. And now he has this whole timeline laid out where eventually the Continental League becomes Baseball America in 2013. And so there's
it's like a prequel. It's like a prequel movie.
So there's a Boston Minutemen team before they became the New England Minutemen that are in this 1974 set. And so there's some play in. So I was going to say that in baseball, I like to do purely fictional, but now that dynamic has changed because there are real people.
That's going to be a terrific storyline because you get real players and fictional players, and you can see it's building up to a breakup where one group just says, we're going off to be the Continental League and MLB can go your way. That could be a fun little follow. It really could.
Yeah, yeah. And then for football games, for whatever reason, I've found recently that I don't particularly like playing fictional. If it's pure like American football, now something like Grid Zone, absolutely love playing with fictional players because then you can see them progress through seasons and go up and down. But for recreating American football, I do like using real players. But as we were talking at the top of the show, that 1957 season where you can, play out the 1957 Boston Patriots, and with real people that actually played football, and some never got a chance to really star, or some had already retired. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I'm the only person who has a Patriots Sisto Averno jersey. He was a player. He played for the Colts for 5 seasons. He retired in 1955, but he was one of the players. Because he was still young. He was I think he was 29 in 57. And he is put on the Boston Patriots.
Sisto who?
Sisto Averno.
Not to be confused with the Ohio players Disco Inferno, right?
Right, yes. That's a different one. So a few years ago for a birthday, my wife got me a custom throwback Patriots jersey with Averno on the name. So it's a great conversation piece at conventions and stuff. So
nice.
And I like that because it's you're creating your own history, but
right.
you're using real play, and it's not that's not an outlandish scenario.
Right.
The AFL almost did open up in 1957, and just bureaucracy and whatnot got in the way, and so I guess in a roundabout way is it depends. Okay. I enjoy them all in certain settings. I enjoy one over the other. But yeah, I'm open to playing them all.
And the wrestling, you and Dave Little have created online universes that are, I believe, purely fictional, right? In Face to the Mat, or was that real?
In Face to the Mat, yes. Because boy, it's been quite a few years ago now. Keith decided that he just didn't want to take the chance on getting a letter from Vince saying cease and desist using my protected character names. And so now it's, I want to say it's 10 years that he hasn't released sets with real players, or real players, real wrestlers in it. And of course wrestling is the kind of setup that you can kind of do whatever you want anyways. Right. And, and there are blank cards that you can make up your own characters. And, but definitely wrestling is, because the problem when you're using real wrestlers is you're going to want to just push, obviously if I was using real wrestlers, Hulk Hogan would never be anything other than either the champion or in a storyline.
Would you ever make a heel a good guy or Hulk a bad guy? I mean, because you'd get letters.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a
Ron,
commenter
Ron,
said,
a question for Ron. What do you think about wrestling, Ron?
"What do I think
It
about it?"
doesn't matter what you think about
Oh,
That's
wrestling.
right.
Oh,
See
I
what
always
I've
loved
been
it.
gone for a week, and this is what I have to put up with.
I love when The Rock does that. It doesn't matter what you think.
the Rock heel run, I
Yeah.
think, was one of some of the best TV. He just when he it was a Monday Night Raw and they were in Sacramento and he did a concert during the show where he just came out on a stool with a guitar and he sang about how the Lakers were going to beat the Sacramento Queens and the crowd just it was yeah, the Rock heel run was fantastic.
I got a signed picture from The Rock somewhere here. Someone got to be a signed picture of The Rock. It was kind of funny. I went to it was either a Sunday night or a Monday night in Worcester, and they were taping one of the shows, and it's the night that it was Mankind versus The Rock for the title. And Mankind had his crew and The Rock had his crew, and they're all fighting, and it's like the end of the night, and the glass breaks. Stone Cold comes out, stuns The Rock, grabs Mankind, throws him on The Rock, leaves the ring. The ref counts, and Mankind wins the title. I saw Mankind win the title in Worcester. And that was such a good show, such a good night. That was a long time ago. They just know how to pump up a crowd. They just when you're there,
great entertainers.
when you're
Absolutely
there, it's like, oh my gosh, you're into it. You're so into it,
Yeah. I just saw the comment. I completely forgot about Red, White, and Blue Racing with the fictional set that's out for that. I almost wore my Property of Exum Racing shirt today because yes, that's definitely a game that I really have little interest in using real drivers especially current I have no idea who current drivers are. So and yeah, because what's fun about that is you can, in your own mind, you can make up which drivers are fan favorites, which drivers other drivers don't like, and then it's fun comparing notes with people because someone in my universe who I is my heel, someone will say like, oh no, that's he's the good guy in my so yes, I completely forgot about Red, White, and Blue Racing, the Stock Car America.
Ron always talks about that once you start throwing dice, it's all fictional. So I guess there's different descriptions or meanings of fictional. When you think fictional, you probably think like fake teams, fake players. You know what I mean? You got, like I say, the Boston Crabs. You know what I mean? And Johnny Rocket's your pitcher or something like that. But fictional is a lot of different things. As soon as you make a trade, like when I first started playing these games here, I like Reggie Jackson, and I would always trade Reggie Jackson to Boston. Okay, once you do that, it's fictional, but it's not fictional players. It's just
the quasi stuff that Steve was talking about. Even in the strict structured do and as played replay, because they're not going to do everything they did in real life in the order that they did it. You'd be looking to go, well, here, Bucky Dent's a 147 hitter, but he's playing against the Red Sox. Let's make him a cleanup hitter. No, let's not do that. Okay, let's take like someone like Dave Winfield, for example. He may not be doing what he was supposed to be doing, but he's hitting third. Okay, he's hitting 197. He hasn't homered a month and whatever. And the temptation would be to, no, I'm going to move him down or bench him for a day. But so, yes, even in that strict adherence to usage and as played and all that, yes, the second you roll the dice and take the rubber bands off, you just don't know the story's going to different. But it's not in the fiction in the sense of, as you said, the Boston Crabs or the Baseball America sets or anything you can do in OTP.
Yeah. There's what if would be fictional because it's not what happened.
Sure.
Yeah. And if you think about it, you really got to play quite strict to make it non-fictional. You know what I mean? You really got to kind of play it almost right to the T, because otherwise, if you do something weird, then it's, well, geez, that probably wouldn't happen. So now you're getting into the fictional range. Steve, have you ever done anything with a fantasy draft, like taken a real season and done a fantasy draft of any kind?
I've never done a real season. But when Hockey Blast first came out, the players were not divided up into teams. So you just got a stack, however many players it was. And so I just created 10 teams. And I actually did like a draft. I remember before kids, wasn't that a magical time? I actually made like a Post-it note, 10 different Post-it notes, and made up like a GM demeanor. And like, this general manager, he wants the toughest players that are available and just have knockdown, drag out defensive battles. And so when their turn came up, I was looking not necessarily the best player, but who,
right.
People that had a high fight rating, that but yeah, no, I've never done that with real players before.
I mean, draft leagues is the best of both. And you could do that in Strat, obviously OOTP, you can in Action, and obviously any cards and dice game, you can do it that way. Is where you're using real players and putting them on fictional teams. And they, so you could have Craig Nettle or Thurman Munson and Carlton Fisk on the same team, which would have caused massive fights in the late 70s. But hey, it's your drafting. And so any of those play-by-mail leagues or face-to-face leagues, yeah, that's all fictional.
Yeah. I have Phil Esposito playing with Harmelov, and my new season coming up, my two goalies are going to be Ken Dryden and Tretiak. You talk about completely fictional, off the rails stuff. I mean, you got guys that hated each other, and they're going to be on the same team. So it's going to be, I don't know if it'll work. It might not work. They might fight each other because that's what that game does. They have things like that. Steve, have you ever done anything like what I was talking about when I took Reggie Jackson and put him on the Red Sox? Have you ever like played a season and said, I want to see how this guy would do over here, or maybe put Tom Brady on the Colts or the Jets or something? Have you ever done anything like that?
Trying to think. I know that one year, a few years ago, when the second season set came out, in like the fringe player list that Keith always has on there, he still listed Colin Kaepernick. And this might have been like 4 years ago now. And it was one of those years that the Indianapolis team was terrible just because of their quarterback play. And so I actually did. I pulled up a PDF editor and put in Colin Kaepernick and played through a few games with him and using the rest of the regular squads to see how they play. And they actually played a lot better. He was than they really did. So, but yeah, I've never done like a whole season where I pulled some Hall of Fame player out. Although that is interesting. I would to see.
I've always been intrigued because there was a good argument 10, 15 years ago when Peyton Manning was in his prime with the Colts. If you had traded Tom Brady for Peyton Manning, so if Brady had played for the Colts and Manning had played for the Patriots, how well they would have done. I've never done it. You could do it in 2nd and 10. I think you can even roll C or even an Action PC. Never tried it, but it'd be very curious to see what would happen because again, we talked a bit about the what ifs. That would be it. Okay, did Brady win because of his own stuff, or was Manning where I'm going with that?
So. Yeah. Do you know what I did? The very first thing when I first pulled away from video games and get into sports sims, the first game I ever played was Football Mogul, and this might have been Football Mogul 2014 or something like that. And I was like, no way. It had all the seasons in there. I can play the 76 Patriots, 76 Buccaneers. First thing I did, okay, because again, this was all new to me, and kid in the candy store, is I traded Stabler for Grogan. And I said, I was like, oh, you can do that. I can trade Stabler for Grogan and see what happens. I mean, again, all brand new to me. I'd never seen anything like this before. I mean, I played Madden. That's it. You know what I mean? And so you couldn't go back to 76 and play Madden. And so I did. I put Grogan on the Raiders and Stabler on the Patriots and let that play out. And I don't remember what happened, but that was my first kind of like dipping the toe into the water of stuff here. And I went fictional immediately with that. And it was like, since then, I've always enjoyed that. What if this guy went here? What if this guy was here? What if we traded these two guys, and I've always enjoyed that part of the fictional thing there, is swapping the guys, So I've enjoyed that. One thing Al Red Sox fan does a lot of is he likes to take guys, O.J. Simpson, or you know, or
He does
Joe
have a lot of
Namath.
O.J. Simpson content on his channel.
I'm worried about that guy,
Flashes through that line.
Yeah, or like a Joe Namath, and have them play the entire season instead of having them either retire or get hurt. And I think he did that with the Rams. He took Namath and went.
He got them to the Super Bowl. With,
he did
with Namath.
Yeah, and that's kind of fun too. Is someone gets hurt and they're also like what I'm doing with franchise hockey managers. Bobby Orr is not going to have a knee problem with me. He's going to continue to play, even if I trade him. Which I'm having fun with this, Steve. This is like. Again, this is it's one big hockey bath. This franchise hockey manager 9, and I'm rubbing all the fun all over myself. But it's just the idea that I can do whatever I want in this thing. And so Bobby is going to continue to play. Now, whether I move him or keep him, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. It's just I'm just kind of willy-nilly in this thing here. But the idea of being able to play players through either career-ending injuries or like Tom Brady missing a season, maybe I play that season with Tom Brady and see how they do. They were 10-6 without him. So what if he was there? Could they have won a couple other games and maybe back to the Super Bowl? So those things there are all under the fictional umbrella. I guess it would be because again, we think fictional, you think fake players, fake teams, but once you start swapping guys or having guys play when they're not supposed to, it's really under that fictional umbrella. And I guess the more I think about it, the more I probably enjoy the fictional more than I do the actual because we've already done the actual, we've already done that. Now we have a chance to tell a different story. Is what and Ron talks storylines all the time, and I'm finding more storylines in the last couple of weeks with these franchise hockey manager and out of the park baseball than I've had in a long time just by playing this fictional setup.
Now here's something I've done that we haven't talked about yet, and I'm sure we all did this in the days of the Sega Genesis and all. That's true. Ted Williams and Joe DiMaggio had been traded for each other until one of the owners sobered up and realized what in the world was he doing. I think it was the Yankees that called that trade off. So here's something that we all did as kids with the video games is create ourselves. Oh,
99, all 99.
Yeah, I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. And so what I started to do with the golf game, ASG Golf, is you can create your own card. And so I did some videos with my own card and started that. There's a guy over at Delphi, Philip, and I can't think of his last name. He does things with the Fitzsimmons.
Yes.
Yeah. And so,
and
twins and stuff like that. And again, he really just has a good time with that, just to creating the card or taking someone and putting your name over it or whatever. He does a lot of that. And so I did that with the golf because I think when you do golf, it really is into the what if thing anyway. It is so hard to get, even if you have all the right players and all the right tournaments and stuff like that, because the course conditions can change so rapidly. You really can't do that as played. And if you're going to play Arnold Palmer versus Tiger Woods in both of their prime, that's pure fiction anyway. So I did that with myself and really enjoyed it because who knows, if circumstances was different, if that had been the case. And so I've done that in, so I've done that with, tried that with franchise hockey manager, and not in a real sense, no OTP, because the league I'm in for that is all fictional anyway, but just kind of playing these games as yourself. Now, Gardner has the advantage because there was a gentleman that just passed away by the name of Dave Gardner, who was a decent player on some bad teams in the 70s. And so if Dave wanted to do that and say it was him, he could.
I've been mistaken for that guy on Facebook a lot of times. Reggie Leach. Reggie Leach from the Philadelphia Flyers. He reached out to me one day because we were both in California. We were in a California SEALs group on Facebook, and he goes, "Dave, how you been? Haven't talked to you in a while." And I'm like, and he sent me a friend request, and so I said, "Reg, I'll be quite honest with you. I'm not that Dave Gardner. We have the same name. I know who he is. Through watching him play. But I said, I'm not that Dave Gardner. I'll still have to be your friend." And he he accepted my friend request, and he come up to Boston with Walt McKechnie and signed autographs about 6 years ago, and I met him there, and it was kind of fun, that kind of happened. I get all the time. Who is the goalie? PJ would know if he's here. Was it the Cobra? Was that Gary Smith, PJ? And he's always sending me messages. Hey, Dave, how you been? Now that Dave Gardner's actually passed away, I don't get him anymore. But he was always thinking I was Dave Gardner too. And I'm like, well, no, that he was, good 10 or 15 years older than me. I mean, I'm, not quite that old yet, but yeah. So I mean, I like to create myself too. In fact, now that Ron brought that up, I mean, okay, PJ says, yeah, Gary Cobra Simmons was the goalie there. So I've talked to him a few times on Facebook. But Ron brought that up. He said, Dave, I'm going to create myself in Franchise Hockey Manager. And I said, I haven't done that in a long time. I think I created me and him in ASG Golf, and I played a little bit of that. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I'm choking on something over here.
Oh.
And so I'm going to create myself a Franchise Hockey Manager, but I don't know what I'm going to do because there's already a Dave Gardner in the file. So I don't know if I can be a second one or if I got to be a junior or something like that. But I think it'd be fun, to create myself and Ron and put us in there. But I don't know if I'd want to just do a completely fictional league with that. Like I did that in OOTP 20 or 2022, I think it was, as I created a fictional baseball league. We were the Hartford Hash Browns.
Nice.
And there were 8 teams, and they all were breakfast related. We had the pancakes, the hash browns, the bacon, the sausage biscuits, or something. It was a fun little league. And Ron was my I was the second baseman because that's the position I played. And Ron was my closer. So Juckett would come in out of the bullpen. We had a theme song for him. You know what I mean? And he would come in. And but I mean, so I created ourselves, but it was all fictional players. But it might be kind of fun to drop myself, or Ron, whoever, into the NHL past and see how we did. Picture, hey, I got Gardner scores from Esposito and Orr. That would be a trip to see in the box score.
That is why we did it in the video games. And in fact, we could, in Wayne Gretzky Hockey 1, which came out in 1988 or whatever. I got it for Christmas 89 or 90. We were able to edit the text file and took out the Blackhawk team that was there and changed it to our street hockey team at Linden State College, a food-based league. Yeah, with no pineapple pizzas there. And so we couldn't so no one had a capital letter for a name. And I'm not sure we could change. I think we could even change the ratings. Again, this was on a PC in 1989 or 90. And it was so much fun to go. So you're playing it because Gretzky was on the Oilers and Gretzky was on the Kings team. I think the game King was 6 or 8 teams or whatever it was. And so, yeah, you could be beaten up on Laurie Boschman or what. Yep, PJ did it with Gretzky 3. So, yeah, I mean, we've all done it. And again, it's kind of like that going and buying the candy bar. It gives you that little bit of a dopamine rush. You go, I could have done this.
How fun is it though when you're playing and you're in there and you contribute to the game? It's just so fun. In fact, when I play, like Hockey Bones or Appa, and I have the card on the table, and there's my card on the table. It's not me, but there's the Dave Gardner card on the table, and he has a chance to score. It's so cool if he does score on my channel. It's because,
but again, on the other side of that, in OOTP, if I strike out with 2 out and runners on second and third. I'm mad at myself. How could I swing at such a crappy pitch? So it kind of goes, but yeah, if you hit the big hit or steal, yeah, oh, absolutely, yes. See, PJ and I, except for I really didn't know much about the California Golden Seals until I got hooked up with Gardner. So,
and Smelly Wrestling Geek says, wait, whoa. Whoa, Smelly Wrestling Geek types in and says, as long as you're not making yourself a superstar, I don't know. I don't know why I'm going to put myself in there as a 150 hitter or a 20, 20
Now, the 2 times I've done that,
I'm going to be a star
as a rookie so I can grow with the game.
Oh, there you go.
And so you don't want to come out at 17, 18 years old and be the 400 hitter with 60 home runs. And
I see what he's saying. You don't want to go in there and just max yourself out and just walk through everything.
That's what I did in NHL 94, 95 for the Genesis. 99's all across the board, and I could score from the blue line at will. I'm rookie.
Yeah, I mean, there's some fun in that, but it does get old after a while. You want to feel like you're part of the team and you're contributing to the team and the whole bit. So I see where he's going with that, but I mean, I'm not going to make myself a bad player, am I? you know?
Yeah. Well, Ron, earlier you're talking about that Fitzsimmons on the Delphi forums.
Right.
I believe that he always. I remember seeing a lot he did with replay basketball, and I believe that he would always make himself as like, the third person off the bench. He was like the backup small forward or something.
A great story.
Yeah.
Because it would be. I mean, we watch sports because we like it, and I think we've all had, even me, thoughts of, boy, wouldn't that be fun to be out there with whomever, and that you can do that. Again, you can't, if you win a championship, you can't go around and brag about how you did this and that, because they're gonna, okay, so padded room time for you, young man, but
Yeah.
or now that we're in our 50s, old man, but yes, I just think that it just gives it enough variety. Yep, Fred B33 on Delphi is the Fitzsimmons guy, and he's a pitcher for the Phillies and the Twins, and as you said, a role player. He's not the superstar; he's a role player, but his contributions make a difference.
So when I'm playing the franchise hockey manager 9 here, I've stacked up my Bruins with Russians, and I picked up Rene Robert as a rookie and a few guys like that. And I've won the cup back-to-back seasons. Okay, I finished first one season, second the other season, and won the cup. It's like, so I kind of get that out of my system. So now I'm like, okay, now that I've got that out of my system, I want to really kind of work on a team and not just bring in a powerhouse. So I'm thinking about trading away some of my better guys for average guys to see how other teams would do with the better guys, and then me with the lesser guys. So I mean, I've been kind of doing something like that. So
there's the other thing that you've talked about, Dave, and I'm not sure, Steve, you could do this, Steve, kind of like, I'm not sure you could do it in cards and dice. You could if you owned a lot of that. Yeah, we all play the fictional manager too, especially no OTP. You can have random starts for players, so you could get rookie Gordie Howe with old Wayne Gretzky,
right?
Or
that's called random debut.
Random debut. So you can do it in OTP. So rookie Tom Seaver pitching to old Mike Trout.
Oh, you can do that in the baseball game too?
Yes. I haven't done it, but you can. And I think you can do it in the context of whatever framework season you want to do. And again, it's that sweet spot of everyone being real. So it's all names that you might know compared to just whatever your universe is. I haven't done it. I'm tempted to do it.
I remember when they first did that. I think we were talking to Jeff from Franchise Hockey Manager about how that all started, and that might have been the first year they did that. Or maybe I had him on the Game Hounds. We had him on the Game Hounds a long time ago. But the random debut, he was very proud of that, and he should be, because that's very interesting. Because the first time I tried it, I think I had a 19-year-old Gordie Howe and like a 35-year-old Patrice Bergeron. That's what it does. It just grabs all these guys and just gives them a random start date, and now they're in your league. And so I mean, you could have a 30-year-old Connor McDavid and a 19-year-old Tiny Thompson or something like that, or whoever, Guy Lafleur or whatever. And that's just another wrinkle to fictional. Again, Steve, you got us on this fictional track here. You know what I mean?
It's great.
There's so many things that are fictional that we really don't even consider fictional, but random debut is another fictional thing.
Again, as you brought up earlier, it's not just the Boston Crabs and the Miami Teemen. It's whatever it is that gets you away from a stock replay. Let's not talk about Gretzky and Stratton trying to get to his points. That's a whole nother. That's Uncle Ron's pet peeves on OnlyFans soon. So Steve, because you're primarily a cards and dice guy, what would be the equivalent to that for you? Like a draft league? If you just did different years of different card sets, or
I guess you could just take a few different years and just shuffle them all together and deal them out like a deck of cards. And
right.
in
Is
what
that
you
something
get.
that sounds appealing, or would that be? You've got so many
Um,
storylines that it would be difficult anyway. But
yeah, well, and also I don't think my OCD would take mixing up season sets. I'd be like, oh, I need to put them in their correct pile. I would not. That would not be enjoyable.
never
If
watch a
you
Tebow. Never watch a
yeah.
Tebow video, Steve.
Yeah, if you
Oh,
need
really?
help
Oh,
organizing your car, just watch Tebow's videos.
oh boy. Okay. just the thought of mixing season sets up gets me a little flustered.
Okay, I could see the sweat beating up on you
Yeah.
just from that thought.
Boy,
So what is your when we talk about fictional playing? What is your ideal way of playing fictional? What would you consider your favorite way to play fictional?
Well, if I had to pick one, it would be fully fictional, fictional teams, fictional players. Just because then it's so freeing. Then I get to decide who's the poster boy for the league, who's the bad guy. Which teams are popular, which teams have a history of championships. It's all I can. How to pronounce a player's name on a live stream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My closing pitcher on the Hartford Hash Browns was Ron Jouquet. He was French.
Yeah,
He was French.
No one can say actually. It's pronounced.
The UK residents, the gentleman of the house speaking. Yes.
Yeah. So definitely fully fictional would be, if I had to pick one type, that would be my favorite.
Okay.
Now, how much have you actually done with what we would call a stock replay?
Not a lot, just because of time constraints and whatnot. The only fully stock replay I can actually remember doing is I played out the full season of the 2011 Red Sox using the replay baseball game. Excuse me. And the only thing I remember about it was one of those things that reminded me why I like playing cards and dice instead of on PC. It was like after a while I was just sort of hitting the space bar and like, oh, okay. And then I remember it was just Adrian Beltre, did really well. I don't know if it's changed. It was so long ago. I had a PC. I've been a Mac person now for over 10 years. And so I don't play it anymore. But I remember when I got to the end of the season, I assumed that it would then set up playoffs. And it just sort of unceremoniously dumped me back to the main menu. And it was like, oh, I guess this is done. So yeah, but I've never actually played out a full. Well, no, I take that back. Now with Fast Drive Football, I have now done 2 seasons where I've done a full replay. One year I actually rolled out every game for every team. And then last year I rolled out every game for the Patriots, and then 12 games with 18 games with my King of the Hill. So 2 random teams that would play that week. And then the other ones I just used the instant results chart. So I've done 2 full season replays.
Okay.
Fast Drive Football. So.
Have you tried the Stone Cold Hockey fictional teams?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. I had a video of it, and it's I guess what it is. It's hockey doesn't grab me the same way as a baseball or football. I wasn't in a hockey family, so that's like when you guys start saying who was the goalie on the '74 team. I'm
yeah. We're gonna have to let you go, Steve. We're gonna have to let you go.
Yeah. Oh, you're breaking up. Yeah. But yes, no, I do like the fictional ones, and like I was saying before, with fictional, especially with the Stone Mountain games, the grid zone is fantastic just because of how quickly you can create your teams from whole cloth. And
I played that one with that weird deck that Gary didn't have the rights to.
Oh, that was a long,
That was a long time ago.
Grid
grid ball, right?
Yeah.
And so I just turned cities of teams into things. So I remember the New York team had Dwight Gooden, Babe Ruth, and Tom Seaver,
Oh,
just because you could.
right.
It's like, again, it's all about just keeping it interesting in your head while you learn the game. Yeah,
Interesting.
grid ball.
Yeah. We're talking with Steve Tower from After Further Review. If you're listening on the podcast, as we record episode 191 live here on YouTube. Just wrapping up the Stone Cold Hockey. Gary did a terrific job with that. When you got the game, you got a little booklet. It wasn't very big, but it talked about all the teams and good or bad, the teams that were having issues. So obviously the bad team, which I think was the Dayton Bombers, I don't even know if they survived into the next season, but he came up with a second season, and now he's working on a third season. And it's kind of neat that he's trying to drag you into this fictional hockey league that's going on. And it was really fun to see how you had some teams that were this and some teams that were that. And I thought it was pretty fun and pretty unique. It really was.
I was just going to say, I wish that more companies would do that, especially if it's a fictional league. Like, give us a history, even if it's just something brief like that, so that you're not jumping into it like, oh my God, because I think that's what puts people off sometimes from fictional leagues, is they're like, oh my God, you mean I have to name the teams, I have to like create a schedule, and then they're like, oh, I'll just replay the 85 season, so yeah, that's definitely a high point of that, is giving you a history of the teams. And
you must, Steve, have found, because you do a lot with the Baseball America sets, that it for real players, you kind of know what the stats are for the year. And so when the new set comes out for Strata or APA or History Maker Baseball, you know what's going to be on those cards if you know the game system really well. There must have been a couple times that you've taken that new set and had someone that was a favorite of yours. You could see him aging out and be disappointed, like it was watching Jim Rice in the late 80s.
Sure, yeah.
Where the classes do.
Yeah, or gets moved to a new team.
Right.
And you're like, no, he was my setup guy. Like, what? He can't be on the other team. Yeah. But because I look at, when I play Baseball America, I look at it that I'm the manager of the team. And so I can't control what, the bigwigs up in the suites are doing. I can only play the team that's, that they give me. So
they're not letting you buy the groceries.
They're not. Yes, that right. Yeah. There we go. Yep.
Hey, so what do you think would be your favorite fictional gaming moment?
Let's see. That's already happened, or what would my ideal fictional moment be?
No, something that you've already played. If
someone
says,
yeah.
So you enjoy playing fictional. What was your favorite fictional moment? Anything come to mind?
Yeah, I think that I talked about it 100 episodes ago with the very first season of the Baseball America. I actually played out. I think I did a 64 season, but I played everybody's games. And so I was like keeping notes of like who was injured. I had my own system for keeping track of relievers, fatigue, and stuff. So I really got to know each team very intimately. And it took me so long to get to the end of it that by the end of it, the next season had already come out and I had received it. And so I knew that. So there was this one player on team number 12, which in my league at that time was the Cape Cod Lobsters. And his name was Doug Smoles. And he was the only player in that first initial set that got the special home run legend status, where you have to have the full home run king and the full slugger qualities. But he was also, I think he was either a semi-sad sack or a full sad sack for his batting average. So in my mind, I came up with a story. It was like he's the player. He's been on that same team for years and years. Everybody like comes to the stadium for him. But now he's like come to the end of his contract, but he doesn't, he's going to play one more year. And so I knew and his card was like really downgraded for his last season. And so it was the last home game for the Cape Cod Lobsters. And they were down 3-0, and comes to the 7th inning. and all of a sudden the three batters in front of Doug Smolls get on base, and it was just like, oh my god, he's gonna he's got a chance to give his team the lead. And in my head, I was like, well, obviously this is going to be like Doug Smolls bobblehead day because it's the last homestand of the season.
You're killing me, Smalls.
You know, and and sure enough, he hit a grand slam, and it was just like one of those moments, like, oh my god, that was because I could like see it coming up. I'm like, oh my god, he's batting. I think he was batting like 6th that inning, and the bases loaded, like 1 out, and he hits a grand slam to give his team the lead, and they won the game. And it was an otherwise. What was really interesting is at that point that team they were eliminated from the playoff race. So I was sort of just going through the motions of finishing out the season because I had kind of committed to it. But it was a moment that I would have missed otherwise if I wasn't doing a full replay, or if I'd been like, oh, I'm just going to quick play.
Yeah.
For the teams that are eliminated. So yeah, that was definitely, it was
That's cool.
Yeah, it was just in my head. I could see the Cape Cod crowd, everybody wearing their retro Doug Smolls jerseys, and
that's funny.
Yeah.
So when you do your streaming on your After for the Review channel on YouTube there, do you mostly do the fictional, or is it a split, or what would you say?
I've probably done more fictional just because I've streamed so many games with the Baseball America. And then otherwise it's probably a good mix. I mean, I guess it depends on what is coming out. If I'm reviewing a new game and they only have real players, then but yeah, I would say it's, I don't know, math is not my friend, but I want to say probably it's a good 70-30 split.
Okay. How does the fictional stuff go over on the stream compared to like regular plays and regular seasons?
Well, I have some people that love it. I have people that specifically want to come and watch the Baseball America teams play. There's people that Kraz is somebody, he'll always be on the streams, and I call him the president of the De La Rosa fan club because every time he gets a strikeout, he types a K as like he's hanging a K out on there. When I do the red, white, and blue racing, there's people that have their favorite drivers from those fictional sets because that's been out for 10 years. So there's some drivers that have been in every set, and so yeah. And then when I'm doing a real season with real players, it's different because then people come into it right with their own
expectations,
biases, expectations.
Right.
Oh, this player wouldn't be pitch hit for, or, so
I was going to ask if it was harder to do a stream with fictional. I mean, harder to get people involved because you got to make a really good presentation and a case for why you want to watch these fake fictional players that never existed versus coming into a stream with existing players that everybody knows. But you just made a really good point that if it's a fictional league, then, no one can sit there saying, hey, I wouldn't play scrubbly do here at this point here, so there's probably a trade-off there, I would imagine.
It's more freeing. I guess I'll use that term again. Because then I can just sort of, get into my inner announcer and, and holy cow, and how about, and not worry that like, oh God, would I bring in like the 4th best reliever here? Let me pull up Baseball Reference real quick and see who,
Right.
So I guess I feel like I can put on a better presentation with fictional, unless it's a team I'm intimately familiar with. Like if I'm playing out the 2007 Red Sox, I would know who's pitching where, what, who would be yanked early. And so there's certain situations, but yeah, just overall, I feel like it comes out in my presentation when I'm pouring it out for the fictional.
Dave, when you did the Spiders, and no one alive has any recollection of what they did. We know the story that they really were terrible, but it wasn't like we had video or interviews of these players. It was, although it was all real, it was pure fiction in that way that we didn't have any expectations outside of the fact that the team was beyond horrible.
Yeah, and they were sabotage. Let's be fair, they were sabotage.
Oh, absolutely.
If anybody
that
playing
that
good, there
was
was kicked
Major
off the
League
team. Yeah,
100 years before Major League.
yeah, it actually was. Yeah.
Hmm.
Let me ask you, Steve. If a new game come out, we'll call baseball because I think you're a baseball guy. So a new baseball game comes out. So and so says, "Hey, I just developed a new baseball game." Would you prefer that it had fictional over real? And if it had just real, would you shy away from that because it wasn't fictional by chance?
I wouldn't shy away from it. I guess my first reservation would be, what does your game do different than the hundreds of of baseball games that are out? So I'd be interested to see if someone could actually come up with a new take on baseball. But no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't say that I can't show a game because it doesn't have fictional players on it. I'd be more interested. I'd be more intrigued, and probably someone would reach out to me instead of another YouTube channel if it didn't have fictional.
Yeah, interesting point. You just made there. Now I just lost my train of thought. What you were talking about? As far as a new game. Okay, that's where you were going. You said, what's this game going to bring? It's going to be any different than what's out there. I see. I like the idea of people developing new games, even baseball, because there's 100 baseball games out there. Bernie had the count. I forget what the count was. Bernie had the count. I don't know if it was 89 or 90, but Bernie
at least 75.
Yeah, so we'll call it 100 baseball games. So someone comes out with game 101. I would like to see that because you never know what a game is, how it's going to register with you. And I like I play a bunch of baseball games, and there's some I really like, and there's some I don't play as much as others. But like season ticket baseball is a rather new game, I would think, within the scheme of things. Okay,
Sure.
and I really like that game. It's really kind of an advanced game, but I pick and choose my advanced rules, and the mechanics of that game just work for me, and they speak to me, and they have since I rolled my first game. And there's other games that I struggle with, and when I struggle, I don't have as much fun. So I like the fact that people are making games because they might come out with a game that's like, something, this game hits a note with me. It flows on my table. I'm enjoying it. It's got seasons I like to play, and it's I gotta say, I'm Golden Corral guy, like Ron says. I play all different games, but so I like it when I see a new game come out, so I can check it out and see if it's a good fit for me. And sometimes they are, and sometimes they're not.
Yeah. I mean, I never want like people to stop innovating. I never want someone to be like, well, I have an idea for a baseball game, but I'm not going to pursue it because there's been so many. Like that's, so that's why I'm saying, like, no, I would never just turn one down and say I can't show it offhand. But yeah, because, well, I mean, and On Deck Baseball, that was. Is that 3 years now that's been out?
Could be, yeah.
We had him on a while ago, yeah.
And that does some things really well. And also when that came out, it was all fictional, which intrigued me right away. But and that's just one man. Just
yeah, I had some fun with it. I had the game, and I had some fun with On Deck Baseball. I really did I think it was the pitcher fatigue system that I thought was really interesting. I think you get to a certain point, and is it like you roll dice and look at his card to see if he goes up or down? I thought that was interesting because it wasn't a steady decline. He had some ups and downs. Most likely you're going to be down because you're getting tired. But I really did like the way he handled the pitchers. After a while, the big cards became too clunky for me. I'll be honest with you. They were. And, seeing the picture of the batter it's good, I guess, but I would rather have a strat or an apple-sized card with just the ratings on it and be able to play that on my tabletop because I really can't play that big monster card set, you know what I mean? And I think that would cut down his cost and then the whole bit and make that game much more affordable. So there's a couple of things that I really liked about the game, but I shied away from it for a couple of reasons as well. But now that they got the new things coming out, maybe I go check that out again. Slash Deep Gaming comes by. Howdy, y'all. Thanks for coming by.
Does fictional basketball grab you at all? I don't know if there's a way right now to do that or not on the table.
The Highlight Maker Hoops.
Does he have a fictional set?
Yeah. The Blam Baseball
Blam.
League of America. Yeah. Yep. Or the Basketball League of America. Sorry. Yeah.
Right. That would be Blam. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I got one more question for you. Then we can take some questions from the audience here. So you said you played. What was it? Grid Zone, Grid Bowl.
Grid Zone.
Well, both. It was Grid Ball first.
Okay.
And then now it's Grid Zone, and now it's Grid Zone Turf Wars.
Okay, so that's a completely fictional sport.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's
7 on 7.
Okay, so that's a whole new sport that you'd have to learn what that sport is and how it does. How many of those fictional sports have you played? Is that the only one? Have you played other games that were kind of their own unique thing? And what else is there out there like that?
Someone actually came up with Quidditch from Harry Potter. You can actually play that. Yeah.
There's actually people that play Quidditch in real life.
Yeah.
In Boston, there's like a whole league of people that hop around and in the park on their broomsticks and play Quidditch.
Surprised Salem doesn't have a team. Then that would be perfect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's been.
And Smelly Wrestling Geek says the big cards makes it easier for blind old men to see. Yeah, no, I get that. You know,
there is that. So there's games like that Bat Flip card game that just came out, and that's all fictional players on it. Let's see. What else have I
don't know if I'd want to get into a whole fictional sport. I mean, I like my big four. And that's what I enjoy playing. Somebody asked me earlier here.
A fictional sport. Okay,
right,
yeah.
Sport.
Let's see.
Somebody asked if I would get into soccer. Soccer is kind of a fictional sport for me. I have Dice United 1, and I played it, and I got through one game, but I don't know enough about soccer in the terms and how it plays to enjoy it. I played it, and it's like I think I played it right. It was okay, but I'm kind of lost. I mean,
I really enjoyed the PC version of Dice United.
I saw you play that. I'm interested in that. I really am.
Oh yeah, somebody made the comment. The Fury, the Fury football and Fury hardball games. Those are great. It's so the Fury football is that's 7 on 7 as well. That's a lot of fun. It's a nice quick playing game too. It was made with fictional teams and fictional players, but then he has put out some sets where it's real teams. I think he did like the Pro Bowl players and made cards of them. And Fury Hardball is like this mixture of like baseball, cricket, and wiffle ball kind of together. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's another fun game and a very, very quick playing game too. So yeah, there's things out there. If I guess if you didn't want to get into fictional teams and players for real sports, but you'd have an easier time with a completely fictional game, there's definitely things out there for you.
Nice. All right, let's take a couple of questions from the chat room and also from Facebook here. Sports Time Machine has a good one here. Steve, have you ever reviewed a game on your channel and gave it a bad review because you just didn't like it and it did nothing for you?
I don't think I've ever given a bad review. I try to find the good in everything. I mean, definitely there has been some games where I have said that, it didn't resonate with me, but here it is. And I can see, if this is what you're looking for, here it is. I'm trying to think. There was one negative review I gave, and it was for a collectible card game, a baseball card game. and it was something that, like, after it came out, the guy sort of disappeared, and it was like kind of the equivalent of a pump and dump, I think. And I can't even remember the name of it now, but it was. I remember, like, so the rule book that came with it. The rule book was only like 4 pages long, and it was like just very, very basic rules, and then it had a link in the rule book to a website for advanced rules, and it was like I don't know, like a 30 or 40 page PDF.
Ooh.
And it was just, so I called that out. I'm like,
Yeah.
there's a difference in, and then but yeah, so I think that was probably the only like real negative review I've done. I will say that there's been some games that I just haven't reviewed because I didn't want to. I explained to the person, like, I don't think that I can give you any benefit for me.
I've done the same thing. I've said, look, I've gone over this and looked at it, and I said, honestly, either I'm not understanding it, or it just doesn't look like it's a lot of fun, and I don't want to get on here and say bad things about it.
Yep.
There has been games that I've had on the channel that I like you said, I find the good at it, and I say, look, there's fun to be had, and if this is what you're looking for, you're gonna like it. Myself, it's just not my cup of tea, and I have too many other games that I'd rather play. But and there's some people that swear by that game, Game X or whatever it was, and it's like, and that's, and I get it. I get how you would like that, but for me, yeah, I'm the same way. Sometimes it's just like, yeah, I'll show it off and this and that. That's just not my thing. Just not my thing.
Steve, has there been a game that you kind of looked at before you turned on the camera and didn't have very high hopes for, and then as you went through and played it, you went, oh, I get it, and I like it?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
I'm trying to think what the latest one that just happened a while ago. Well, actually, Season Ticket Baseball.
Okay.
Is one. When I first
didn't you have a crazy ending to the World Series though?
I did, yes.
Well, tell us about that, because I watched that live.
Yeah, sure. So I replayed the 1990. Well, actually, I started in the 1990 NLCS with my favorite historical team, the Cincinnati Reds of 1990. And so they beat the Bucks, advanced to the World Series, and actually the World Series went to Game 7. And it was a 0-0 game into I think it was the 7th inning, and it was who got the hit, or Barry Larkin was at first base. So who would have been? I think it was Paul O'Neill was maybe batting. But anyways, just like a slow grounder to third base, and Carney Lansford picked it up and went to the rare play chart, which Season Ticket Baseball, I will say, probably has the best rare play charts.
Yes.
Those are...
I had Ron Say get an inside the park home run.
Oh, nice.
With a rare play.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the rare play in this instance, it was Carney Lansford just picks it up and rushes the throw to first. It sails over the first baseman's head, up against the wall in right field, and then so the rare play said that the runner at first gets to third, and if you want, you can send him home. And so it was Larkin rounding third, and Canseco fumbling the ball in right field, picks it up and throws it and doesn't get it in time. And that was the only run of the game. That was so the Reds won Game 7, 1-0 on
a rare play. Yeah,
rare play. So, yeah.
See, that's when Ron Say hit when Ron Say hit that inside the park home run. For me, it was a rare play, and he hit it deep, and it said the outfielder crashed into the wall, and the ball was sitting there, and it's a triple, and you can try for home. And I did the same thing. I rolled, and he scored on the play there. And, when I said that, a lot of people, Ron Say would never hit it inside the park home run. I'm like, he would if the outfielder hit the wall. It was unconscious. Yeah. Anybody could. I could run around the bases if the ball's just sitting there, You
know who I saw hit a highlight of an inside the park home run? We've talked about Buckner doing it a couple times over the years. But Dave Kingman did it in St. Louis. They scooted on that turf and got past, I think, Willie McGee or someone out there. And Dave Kingman hit it inside the park home run. And they're interviewing with Keitner's Corner after the game or whatever. So how'd you feel? So my legs were so heavy around in third. I can't believe I got home. It's a lot easier to hit him over the fence than it is to hit him in the park.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to tell that Rare Play story there because I remember
Yeah.
watching
Yeah.
that live.
That's a
That
great
was
one.
that was a
Oh,
fun
and
one.
I'm looking at my list. So definitely the perfect thing for this is the game Mo Master. It was
Moment.
yeah. So it was I think it was a holiday special that Play had,
Okay.
and what it was is they wanted. Oh no, it was they had gone to a convention, and for the convention they wanted to be able to have business card sized games. So a
Interesting.
game, the board, the instructions could all fit on a business card or like a folded up, two.
Right.
And so, and it was designed by Mike Fitzgerald of board game design fame.
Okay.
He helped design it, and it's just a circular board, and your lawnmower is a D6, and the next space will have two numbers in it, and you roll two dice. And if you match the numbers exactly, you get to move up. But if not, you can decrease your die, to spend that. But then, and you're trying to be the first to get it around the board. And it was a game that was like, well, a game about mowing lawns isn't going
Yeah.
to be
When
fun.
you said Mo Master, I went MO apostrophe master.
Yeah,
And you're
no.
talking MOW.
That was like a rap game or something.
Right.
And it was, oh my God, it was so much fun. And what was great is that both of my kids loved it. And because it's the kind of game you could probably play it with like six people if you had like small enough dice to get on it. And they loved it. It was great. It was it was like you got a little bit of math involved, some very easy but meaty strategic decisions to make. And yeah, it was like it was like so cool that the fact that it was on a business card, that it was
That
so
is cool.
you don't need 100 miniatures and all these plastic pieces for for a fun game experience. So yeah.
Interesting. All right, a couple more questions here, Steve. Marco Scola, we've had him on the show. We all know Marco and his channel over there. Yeah, he was all excited that we were going to have Steven Tyler on the show. He's on vacation somewhere, so he's probably reading that on his phone. He's like, yes, Steven Tyler's on
Oh,
Visions
wow,
of
yeah. What a get for the show. Well, for everybody that was tuning in for Steven Tyler, I'm sorry.
All I'm going to say is, Marco, that if you think we're going to get Steven Tyler on the show, dream on.
Keep waiting.
Oh, come on.
And
come on, that was pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, boy,
and if you like puns, you don't want to miss a thing, right?
Wow.
Steve has now canceled the show.
He was living on the edge, waiting for this episode to drop. So, yeah.
It was George Hendrick that, by the way, the ball scooted past in St. Louis.
Oh, for Kingman. Okay, yes.
Kingman,
So Sports Time Machine here in the chat room says it was George Hendrick that did that. All right, get back to some of the real questions now.
Oh.
Here's one here. Okay, here's one here from Tony. He says, "Who is Steve Tower? Who is Steve Tower?"
Oh boy, Steve Tower. He's a enigma wrapped inside a conundrum. Yeah. I mean,
that sounds like something I had for breakfast the other day at the diner.
It's high in fiber, right?
We'll pretend it is.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. Oh boy, I know we were talking about this before. I mean, really, what you see on my show, that's me. I'm not playing a character. I'm in my late 40s. I'm not in my 50s yet. Thank you, Ron, for saying that. But and I'm me. There we go. A great uke player. Thank you, Doug. Yes, I do have to thank my wife for that. Boy, this was about 6 years ago now. During the summer, my wife is a music teacher, and she was just bored one summer while school was out. And she was like, I'm going to organize an adult ukulele class. And we'll just host it here at the house. And I was like, okay, I guess that sounds fun. And so I bought a ukulele and sat down and was like, hey, this is, because it's perfect.
Arthur Godfrey videos on YouTube to learn how to play?
Oh, I mean, I guess you can watch those, but the nice thing about the ukulele is you can learn like 3 basic notes that cover like 90% of the song,
Yeah.
and a lot of them are just one finger.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's, I mean, in 10 minutes you can be playing something like, oh hey, that. So
Yeah, you do the 7th inning stretch on the ukulele on your channel, You Knew Baseball.
Yep.
And I saw that. It says, how can I one up him? So I was going to get my electric guitar, plug it into
boy.
my amp, and I was going to do like the Zach Wild version of Take It
Oh,
Out to the Ball
man.
Game. I haven't done it yet. Yeah.
I'm
You know,
sure. I'm sure
I
that
would be
the,
there for that. Yeah.
four-legged creatures in your house would be down to visit you.
Yes.
For that, right?
Yeah, I thought about doing that. One time I might do that. Maybe what I'll do is like I'll film it and I'll drop it in as a video or something, just kind of have some fun with it.
Any excuse, get the wah-wah pedal out, right? That's
yeah. It's a fun time. All right, so that's who Steve
wrong,
Tower
by
is.
the way, with being in your 50s, there, Tower.
Yeah.
No, I know. It was when you said that, I was like, hey, wait a minute, I still got a couple years for it.
All right, this is going to be a tough question for you. All right, this is from Tebow, and he says,
"Oh God,
yeah." He says, do you have a main gripe with the big 2 game companies at all?"
No,
I don't have a gripe. It's no, I don't have a gripe with them at all. I just, I guess, really, what it comes down to is, the main driving goal of my channel is to promote the smaller companies and showcase games that people otherwise might not see or might not even know exist. And everybody knows the big 2 companies that wants to know about them. My videos are not going to help someone who's been on the fence for 50 years decide to play them. And I feel like there's been some advances in board gaming that the big 2 haven't embraced. So they're games that I don't personally enjoy. So, but I don't have a gripe against them. I mean, if people enjoy them, that's great.
That's a good point that you make there. That they're the big 2. They've been around for a while. Pretty much, they've stayed kind of in their lanes. Maybe a couple of small additions along the way. Please don't flame me for that, anybody, because I'm new to this. But from what I've understood, that they're been around for a long time. There's been some changes, but for the most part, they've kind of
close a rule and strat.
But I just think that, with all the newer games that comes out, like I say, the season tickets, you got the History Maker Baseball, there's all kinds of different games that are, quote, more modern. And not that
Yes.
makes it better or makes it worse, but, the 2 games do it their way, and they do it great. I like playing them both, by the way. Okay, and I have played them both on my channel. I don't know if I like one over the other because they do different things, but I also like I say, the newer game, like the season ticket baseball. I really liked it. The pocket pennant run. I like that, and I like playing those.
Yep.
And so yeah, I see your point that maybe, I mean, they're tried and true, but some of the newer games do some things a little different. And so that could be a reason why too.
If you didn't catch us 100 episodes the last time we had Steve on, when he talked about his background, was that he didn't grow up as a sports gamer. You're a board gamer traditionally, right?
Yeah.
And so that's understandable that would be there, because play approaches their games very much like a board gamer would, as opposed to the big 2 and how they presented things for a long time. And if you didn't grow up, or that as your first way that you were introduced to the gaming, then yes, that would color how you see them.
Yeah, and there's so many channels that feature Stratorap that it's like, I guess I don't feel like I would really be able to add anything productive to the conversation for it. So.
I play both of those, and like I say, I play a lot. It depends what I'm in the mood for. Sometimes I got the APA behind me, like, I'm gonna play a game of APA, and I pull it out. And sometimes I pull out Strat baseball. I love the Strat basic baseball. I really do. I couldn't choose between the 2 because they're both just so fun for me, and I don't have to choose. I can play either one.
That's right. You never have to choose.
Yep, best thing about it. Baseball Demo says he wants to see Uncle Ron sing a seventh inning stretch, channeling his inner Enrico Palozzo.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd.
Why do you sound like Bugs Bunny?
To me, that sounded like Stephen Hawking, but
let's see, Bob's Tabletop Sport. One of the best things Steve's channel has done is to build a community of sports gamers. Yes, absolutely. Very similar to what this channel has done as well. Community is so important for this hobby. It is, Bob. That's a great. It is, and that's why we have a lot of people on this channel, and and I've seen baseball demos jump on a couple of channels as well. The Replay Gamer's been doing some things, and it makes it really fun. It really does that. The community kind of, we're all, let's put this, we're all gamers. We just want to play games and have fun in our basement by ourselves.
There's anything wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that, but let's just face it. It's like I couldn't go upstairs right now and tell my wife what a great game of Franchise Hockey Manager 9 I just had. She would look,
right.
That's nice, dear. Did you take the trash out?
Right.
That's what I get on that there. So, but yes, community is a big part of this, and it's so much fun. Bernie's got a question here. Steve, you've been playing these games for a long time. What keeps you wanting to continue to play these games?
Boy, that's a good question. I mean, I really think that my channel helps because, sometimes I'm having a terrible week, and but kind of like as soon as I hit live on my channel, and and then I'm AFR Steve, and I'm just having fun and playing out a game, and so yeah, sometimes I use it as a as a nice emotional crutch and to get away from the real world.
Absolutely.
It's because in my baseball universe, it's a beautiful day, and so the community definitely is a big part of why I keep playing. Just to see what I enjoy watching what other people are doing, seeing what other people are doing, it's I guess it's cathartic, I suppose. It's one of the few low-tech releases that I have left in my life. So,
and baseball demos posted in the chat room, therapy.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. I mean, I don't know how many times you got a bad day or just whatever bad, anything. Life is hard for everybody, and sometimes you come down here and you play your game, whether it's on the tabletop or the computer, and you start playing and it just puts a smile on your face, and you're just like, this is great. I got Bobby Orr on the table, or I got, Cam Neely or Kyle Yastrzemski, or, Fred Lynn has hit 2 walk-off home runs and replayed PC baseball for me. And I think I streamed them both, actually.
Yes, you did.
And it's like, you're sitting there, it's like, oh, Freddie Lynn coming up, bottom of the ninth, game tied, runner on, 6-6-6 home run for Freddie Lynn. And it's just, you can't replace those moments. Those moments there with you. And again, that's something that happened probably 2 years ago now. And I still talk about it. And it's so much fun. What we do is just pure fun. Nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets angry unless you put in the wrong relief pitcher. Okay, that can happen. but yeah, and Bernie says, yeah, that's the perfect answer, to get away from the real world, and that's what we do. We come down here, we have our fun, and Ron and I talk all the time, and with the Franchise Hockey Manager, I'm like, Ron, guess what? I just picked up this guy, and guess what? I just traded for this guy, and then he's just like, yeah, well, I got Wayne Gretzky on my team, and it's just what we do, and we get away, and we talk about this stuff because it's talking about such positive things most of the time. Occasionally there's a game that, but I mean, for the most part, we're in a good mood when we talk about these things, Getting back to the chat, let's see. Corey asked, you can't watch it live Saturday, but he says, what equipment and software do you use for your videos?
Oh, sure. So I use OBS for the streaming software, and that's a free program to download. Let's see. I have an Elgato camera for my overhead camera now, which you're talking about your computer problems. So I have a Mac computer, and my Mac was actually so old that I was not able to get the program to run that you need to download for your Elgato camera.
I've had that happen with the computer too. It's like, yeah, this won't run on here. Sorry.
So I was like, well, 10 years, I guess that's a good run for a computer.
That's great.
So I do have a new iMac now. I use an app called Reflector. It's Reflector 4 now, and what that does is it allows me to either project my iPad or my phone onto the screen so that I can then capture it, so I can put up a score sheet or a scoreboard. I do get a lot of questions anytime I'm playing a baseball game, or I've used it in a couple other ones. I have an app called Swipe Scoreboard that I use like all my baseball games. I put that up there.
I think I have that myself. That's a fun one.
It is, yeah. So it's free to download, and I want to say you can use it with one sport for free, and then you can upgrade it. And I think the upgrade's only $1, and then that unlocks.
Yes, I have that
10
one. Yes,
different sports. So yeah. So what I usually do is I have that on my phone and I project it onto my screen. And as long as that Reflector program doesn't decide to just disconnect the, that's what happened the other day on my.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. I was like, where'd it go?
Like, hey, the scoreboard still says the third inning, and like,
what was the thing you had? It was about 6 months ago. You were streaming something and you kept leaving something in the way. Was it the rules you left in the way? There was something that was.
Yeah, so it was with Season Ticket. I'd had the PDF of the rare plays up, and I just had a setting on OBS like I could, have it viewable or not viewable, and it would come up so people could read.
Yeah.
And I would just forget to click the hide when I was done reading it, and so I'd go through an inning and half my face.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, that was funny. I did sell a couple of Elgato cameras. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think. Oh, and then I have a blue microphone that I use for my audio. So I think that's the only equipment that I use now. So yes, the Elgato camera has been fantastic because
is that green screen behind you, or is it virtual?
It is a green wall.
It's a green wall.
Yeah. So when we got our basement finished, I was able to.
So that's not your bedroom with a green screen?
No, that wouldn't go over very well.
What's this green wall, honey? It's for my streams. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Go to sleep.
By the way, I was able to. If you're interested.
Yeah, I was able to carve out part of the basement to be my office, and they painted one wall green, so I'd have just a nice flat surface. So yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
I bought. I have an Elgato green screen, and it pulls up, and it's really nice, and it stays there. The only thing is, it's only so wide, so I have to have it like right against my back to fit the screen here. Yep. They come out with a new one. It's an Elgato XL, and it's supposed to be like 14 inches wider. So perfect. Put it here. It doesn't have to be right behind me. I can put up a green screen. I can do some things with it, right? I've ordered 2 from Amazon, and both have been damaged in shipment and never made it to me.
Oh.
Yeah, I ordered, and it's like, this order's canceled and will not get to you and refund you your money. It's like, okay. Ordered it again. Same thing. 3 days later, it gets to New Jersey. It's been destroyed in shipment, so it's going back. So I don't know what the problem is with that. I don't know where I got to order it from. But so, yeah, I'm trying to get a green screen myself, but they just can't get it to me. They can't get it to me. Let's see here. Smelly Wrestling Geek says the chats are typically positive as well too. Yeah, I loved coming on here, with you guys and just chatting sometimes, and we just chat away, and we have people come in and talk about what they want to talk about, and it's a great way of kind of it's like when you listen to the radio, sports talk radio, something like that, and people call in and talk about stuff. That's kind of what we do here, and it's really kind of fun. Baseball demos. I drive all day for work. I don't listen to the radio. I listen to YouTube videos, and whoever's uploaded a video helps me stay connected with the community. I do that too. I walk my dog. I listen on YouTube. I go to bed at night. If someone's streaming, if Al or somebody's on late, I'll listen to him while I go to bed. Or if somebody did something during the day, I'll put it on and listen to it. Yeah, it's kind of like my AM radio, And if I'm playing here, if I'm in Studio B and I'm playing something, I'll have somebody on, and that's how I was playing something here that night that you had that crazy rare play.
Oh,
I was playing something on the tabletop, and even the other night when your reflector went down, you were on my screen while I was doing something here when it went down. So yeah, I like to watch the community myself and listen in the whole bit. And so yeah,
yeah.
that's another
Yeah,
thing.
and I think tying back into when someone is asking if I've ever done a negative review, and I think the reason I tend to stray away from that is there's enough negative things happening in the world right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't need to come on and poo-poo on someone's creation or
Yeah.
tell people
Exactly.
that they're wrong for liking a certain game. It's just, that's just
I've had to do that. I've had a couple people send me a game, and they said, "What do you think?" And I just said, honestly, here's what I think. And I said, I'm not gonna lie to you. I says, this is what I think is wrong with this, and this is what's wrong with that, and this is probably why I wouldn't play it. And it's something that maybe you could fix or work on or change or something like that. But as it is right now, it's something I'm just not interested in, and I don't know how many people would be because of these reasons. And I'll give them reasons. You know what I mean?
sure.
And
Yeah.
but there's usually something I like about it. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, I do like this and I do like that. But there was one. There hasn't been any recently, by the way. This was going back a couple of years that there was a couple of people that sent me games, and I just remember reading the rules and looking at them like, no, this ain't gonna work for me. Just not that. But everything recent that's been sent to me, and the stuff that hasn't come out yet, that may come out or may not come out, I've kind of enjoyed.
You've
You
liked.
know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of good. Getting back to the questions for Steve here. How many different games have you reviewed since starting doing the videos?
Yeah. So I saw that question and I actually went through my videos and looked up. It's 60.
Wow.
I've had 60
Wow.
different games that I've either reviewed or done playthroughs on. So yeah.
Which
That's a
do you
lot.
prefer, a review or a playthrough?
Well, I only do playthroughs now, just because I've kind of found I feel like for myself that's more valuable to me to see someone actually play the game rather than put up a edited, video of here's the highlights and I actually want to see here's how you set the game up, here's how long it takes to actually play through a game. Here's what it looks like as you're rolling through it or flipping through it or what have you. And so I only do the playthroughs now. I haven't done a edited
I gotta say
non-live.
though, Steve, that I still, when I search for games, and I'm not saying new games, but games that I haven't played, so they'd be new to me.
Mhm.
I've found myself back at your channel with some of your really old stuff where you did all the editing, and you're like, okay, so we're gonna roll the dice here, and it's a 4. Now, if we look at this guy's card, a 4 is this, and those really help me learn some games. And
Oh,
I know that editing is not fun and it takes a long time and the whole bit, but I've gone back to your channel so many times for games that either I'm thinking about getting or refreshing myself on. And those videos there were some of the best ones I've seen for the game.
oh, thank you. Oh.
You
I
know,
thought you
and
were going to say you saw the video where like you roll the die and there's like a jump cut and and then it goes to
no,
a different result. Like, oh,
some of those were really good. And I get, they're kind of not fun in the whole bit, because it's a lot of work. But those really helped out, me to get started with a lot of games, just kind of how you did that there. And I agree. I like seeing people play the game, but I'm a big fan when I'm learning a game. I love how Stratomatic lays out their rule book, where it's like roll the dice. Here's what could happen, and let's go through that. So I love when people do, okay, we're going to roll the dice instead of just playing a game. Okay, okay, strike out, walk, single, fly out. Doesn't really tell me anything. Show me why this is happening. And I love it, like in the Stratomatic rule book, when it's like, okay, if you roll the dice and it's this, here's what you're going to do, or here's what you're going to check, or here's what you're going to look for. If it's not that, then it's going to be this, and here's what you're going to do. And I love when I'm done reading, it's like, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to do with the dice roll. And that's what I like when people do, because it's easy, let's go over a few scenarios. Okay, here's pitcher A and batter B, and okay, here's this, here's what happens. Don't go to the next batter yet. Stick with this batter. Show me some more scenarios. That's what I like. I like to see, because anybody can just play a game, and it's like, okay, here's the game, it's great, but give me a few scenarios. I want to see how difficult this game is to learn. Is it something that I'm interested in? Is it too simple? Is it too hard? So for me, I like to see, different variations of what's going on. And I sometimes try to do that. And when I do a thing like, hey, here's what you can do here, here's this, here's that. I enjoy that rather than just watching the gameplay. Now, if you're doing just a gameplay, then that's fine, because we know that we're here to watch a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you do, I've seen a lot of people try to review games and they just play it. And it's really not helping me learn the game. I'm just watching you play the game. So this is not a tutorial. You call it a tutorial, but it's not, because I'm not learning anything. I'm just watching you play,
Generally, what I try to do now, if it's a game that I'm showing for the first time, is I'll play like half speed for the first, whatever, inning, quarter, half, and try to do things like that and explain why it's happening. And then I'll even say like, oh, okay. And as we get going, I'll, get up to full speed, and have that sort of be the stand-in of the review or the tutorial, and for that. But yeah, I mean, I guess never say never about getting back into the reviews, but I don't know, maybe when the kids are out of school and I'm like, oh, I have nowhere to drive someone this weekend.
Yeah. I just found out that Windows 11 has a built-in video editor. And so it's something I want to try. I might try to do that, because, like I say, it's a pain in the neck. But if they get a video editor that can handle it, and it's only a 5 or 10 minute video, it might not be that bad. So I might try to get into a few more of that stuff there. But I, like yourself, when I play Apple Hockey or something like that, I'll start off real slow. I'm like, okay, we'll start off kind of slow, then we'll pick up the pace so we can just kind of get on with the game. But I do like, starting off slow sometimes. Unless I say, look, I'm playing a game tonight. This is not a tutorial. This is me just playing. Enjoy it for what it is. Doug says he likes the way you explain games thoroughly, and Steve helps in learning the game. Yes, he does.
Thanks, Doug.
Yes, he does. So anyway, so we're going to wrap up the podcast part of this. We might stay on for 5 or 10 minutes and just chat in the chat room, but let's wrap things up. Any final words, Steve?
Oh, well, thank you for having me on for the annual Steve Tower episode.
It's the 100 show annual thing.
2 years, buddy. 2 years.
We'll see you in 291.
Yeah, sure. Because 291, then you're starting to get into some pretty good batters at 291. So
yeah,
but yeah, no, thank you guys, and thank you for all you do in the community. You guys put out a lot of great content, and I'm happy to be a small part of this great board game world that we have here.
Absolutely,
Ron. Any final thoughts from you?
Next week is our 4th anniversary.
Yeah, the end of July, we're having a special show, right? We got to figure out when that's going to be.
It's next week. We mid-July. I think it's the 17th. Is our 4th anniversary.
Well, we're going to pick a Saturday night. What the plan is,
right?
Year 4 is going to end,
right?
And year 5 begins. So what we're thinking about doing is having like a Saturday night extravaganza where we have people jump in here with us on StreamYard for a few minutes at a time and just kind of go through. We want to invite everybody that's been on the show, and then some of our Patreons, invite them on just to kind of say hi. Just kind of have like one big, like a wedding receiving line, so to speak. You know what I mean?
I'm not kissing you again, Dave.
I don't know. I don't know if this is going to work very well, but it might. So
spitting out fur from when you had that beard.
So just kind of have like an open invite, and it's set up certain times for people to come on and just say, you come, have you on from 7:30 to 7:35, and you for 7:35 to 7. I don't know if it'll work. It might. It sounds good in theory, but we're kind of hoping to.
You never know.
Have all a cast of characters come on and help us celebrate starting up year 5 is what we're kind of.
Last word for Steve. I just remember when I looked at doing some of this stuff on YouTube that he was one of the first channels that I ran into. Which tells you how long.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, him and Al Wilson, and yep. And there was another guy, Dave from California, and I forget his name. There was like D Dave or D Baseball, something like that.
Okay,
and he took his channel down.
Oh,
and
really?
He was so good. He did Downey games. He did shootout hockey.
Husband and wife.
Yeah, the lovely Lisa. I think it was his girlfriend. Lovely Lisa was on there with him, and his name was Dave something, and his channel was D D's. It was 2 D's and something else. And I think because I think he took it down, but it was so good. That channel was so good, and I learned so many games from him. But and he had the plastic dice tower that made so much noise when he rolled the dice. Like, my ears, you know. I loved his channel. Loved his channel.
When I was trying to think of a concept to do, it was Steve's, along with high encouragement from our Red Sox fan, it was seeing Steve's channel that went, oh, there's an audience for this. People will watch. Because, you can put anything out there, but it doesn't mean people are going to watch. But yeah, so it was one of those first encouragement videos to see there's actually people who comment and watch this stuff. So.
Yeah, Ron finds he has to wrestle with a banner to get likes, but I mean, that's the only fans in you. That's the entrepreneur in you.
I'm coming up on 1,500 subscribers.
Nice job. And you're on Twitch too. So
yes.
Anyway, all right. Let me see. So let's fade out of here. Let's get the music going, and we'll get some final goodbyes. And we'll stay on for a few more minutes on YouTube, but we're going to end the podcast here. So here we go. So you've been listening to the Digital to Dice podcast, episode 191, with Steve Tower from After Further Review. We talked a lot of fictional stuff tonight. We found out how big that fictional umbrella is. Ways to get a hold of us. digitaltodice.com is the website. 978-751-DICE is the text line. And over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. And Steve, where can we find you on YouTube?
On YouTube, you can just search for @AFRSteve or just search for After Further Review with Steve Tower.
All right. And Ron, you're on Twitch at what now?
Retro Sports Network.
Over on Twitch, that's where he goes. All righty. Thank you both for joining me today, however it is. And we'll talk to everybody later. Steve, we'll see you in 100 episodes.
Sounds good.
Bye-bye. All right. I got a couple of questions now that we're done with
the we are still live on YouTube, by the way, but the podcast is over. And a couple things here. Hold your question. I just want to say Doug posted he likes the way Steve helps learning the game. Yep. Yes, he does. Steve's videos helped me get started in the hobby, and he met him in Milwaukee.
Oh,
and he was a huge celebrity, and he had a huge ego. No, I'm just kidding. And he turns out to be a normal schmuck. The normal schmuck. Have you been called the normal schmuck before?
I'm sure my wife has called me that a couple times.
Is Bob Stanley invited? Demos, if you can get Bob Stanley to come on the show here for our 5th anniversary, yes, we will.
I'd play the electric guitar if you got Bob Stanley on.
Yeah. Okay? And I think it was D.D. Commish. It was the guy's name. It was Dave something, and I thought it was D.D. Commish channel. Yeah. Oh. And he did some really good Downey games. He covered most of them. And so that's it. Okay, so Ron, all
right. So you're talking about the Reds. And were you up in this part of the world when they played in Burlington?
No, I wasn't.
Because Larkin and O'Neill and all that, their AA team was here in town. They were the Vermont Reds.
Oh, okay.
And they were up here 3 years, and they won 3 straight Eastern League championships. And since you told me where you grew up, I wondered if you were in this area when they were up here, because when you brought up the 90 Reds, that's what my first thought was.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I never realized that they were there. It was so isolated where I grew up. And the only reason I rooted for the Reds because that's who my older brother rooted for. So I was just like, oh, okay, I guess I'm a Reds fan too. So yeah.
I should have asked this on the show. Have you ever been tempted, because you have all this history, especially with the Baseball America and the red, white, and blue racing and all that, to write a book based on that? I mean, because you know all the story, and you can kind of come up with, eating the pork chops or what the hard things that might go along with that. Is it ever kind of crossed your mind? I mean, you've done all the sports part of it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I guess I would have to get permission from Keith to use this. Oh, yeah. You mean to write about my experience with it, not?
Well, I mean, you could. I suppose if you could just change the names of those players, if that was ever there, because you did the hard part, you played all the games. So, I mean, you're just as intimately familiar with them as
so. So you're saying like a fictional book. So like the Spiders book and the 1969 Washington Senators book, he would do a book on Baseball America.
On his options there. I remember a few times in older versions of OOTP, I would sim 100 years of a fictional league and look for someone to do a story on, and just couldn't make it convincing enough to do that. But where he grew up on a small farm in Peoria or Guadalajara or whatever and was drafted, just make because the baseball part's already done.
Yeah. I mean, I
don't know if you're a writer or not. I mean, we all dabble in different things. So.
That's a good idea. Yeah, maybe that'll give me a good impetus to to get clacking away at the keyboard and something. Yeah. I did come up with a whole full backstory for Dick Exum in the red, white, and blue racing world at one point that I should have written down. I knew his wife's name. I came up with nice. And so yeah, I mean, and obviously these games they lend themselves, right? Because you play enough games with them, and yeah, you do come up with a backstory.
Because the hard part in sports fiction, in general, is believable stories when you're playing. Now, for Hollywood, the natural had to have the light crashing home run by Redford there at the end. It made the movie.
Yeah.
But you especially for those of us who are sports fans, to sit there and watch a sports movie and go, that's not even close.
Oh, so maybe like even take one team in that fictional verse and just kind of follow along like those books we read. So it's like, this team was, they signed this guy here, but this guy wouldn't sign. Come up with some story before the season. Then on opening day, here's what kind of happened. Expectations were high, but unfortunately, bats fell flat. There was turmoil in the club. I mean, you could probably really weave an interesting story into
And the
season.
Drum Slowly comes to mind. Wasn't that based on someone playing APA or something like that? The Robert De Niro movie?
I've heard of the movie.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but
I'm not sure. But you know where I'm going with it. But yeah, you could do
Yeah.
A lot of people with some great ideas. Towers Tales. Steve Towers Tabletop Adventures,
Although Towers Tales
above the table, below the table. I mean, all
I was gonna say Towers Tales sounds like a bar that's by a military base.
That does it.
We're gonna get on the Towers Tales tonight. You guys gonna join us?
Quarter wing night down at Towers Tales.
Days of red, white, and blue racing. That's awesome. I love that one.
Especially the red, white, and blue, because it's also story driven to begin with. The TV drivers and
Sure. Yeah.
Wonder.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right.
They're coming in hot and heavy.
Towers Tall Tales.
There we go. I like that. Yes.
That sounds like something that would be on Rocky and Bullwinkle, right?
The mixed up fairy tales. Yeah.
They're mixed up fractious fairy tales.
Fractured fairy tales. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to do it like Rocky and Bullwinkle. This episode, Towers Tall Tales, are the Cape Cod Crushers.
Yeah.
What's the matter, you? When the whole arc with Bullwinkle is the quarterback for What's the Matter You?
Yeah. Okay, it's a trivia question for you, and for anybody in the chat room. How much does Bugs Bunny weigh?
Oh. It
was in one of the cartoons. That's how I remember.
I was gonna say I can see the image of the weight, the scale.
Wow.
I don't know why I remember this, but I remember seeing it in one of the cartoons. I'm like, wow, that's a good trivia question.
I don't know that one.
14 carats?
That's a good one.
That is a good guess.
Yeah. The answer is 6 7/8. I don't know 6 7/8 what, but he's 6 7/8. That's how much he weighs. Interesting. Anyway, but
I think Bugs Bunny was one of the first fictional baseball players I saw.
Yeah.
Right? The super slow pitch where he struck out 3 batters on one pitch?
Yeah, you're out. 1, 2. My favorite cartoon is the guy that sat behind the pole the entire game and missed it. And when it got done, the stadium was empty, and he get up and he shook the pole. And he brought the stadium down. He was so mad. I remember that one there.
Absolute true story. I broke my back in high school, and they put me on what wasn't Oxy back then. It was Tylenol with codeine and quadruple strength Advil.
Okay.
And I had a very good time that week because I was hurting and I just didn't care. So listen to the Red Sox on the radio Friday night, playing the Angels. Chuck Finley's on the mound, and I'm hallucinating cartoons the entire week, And so that's what came to mind. Chuck Finley went out there and threw a 2-hitter. And the entire game, instead of visualizing Ken Coleman in my head, at Fenway Park, it's that cartoon of Bugs Bunny pitching, and Bugs Bunny that night was the California Angels. Don't do drugs, kids.
Yes, yeah. Oh, so many. Oh, the I got it, and it drills him into the outfielder, and he gets drilled into the ground trying to catch a fly ball, and he comes up with a tombstone, and the tombstone says he got it. Yeah.
Good stuff. So anyway, well, folks, we want to thank everybody for coming by tonight and hanging out with us as we recorded the show. And I'm still shocked. I've said it 3 times tonight that it's like, hey, I was on at episode 91. It's coming up on 191. That's 100 episodes of Digital to Dice, and it really doesn't seem like.
No.
So what's that? 100 weeks, or probably more than 100 weeks ago? So
it's a little more than 2 years.
Yeah, that's so
because
weird.
We're coming up on the tape date of the first one, and the next week will be 192. So we've done 192 shows in 4 years.
Yeah, so we got to start planning that. Boy, that come up in a hurry. So I'll have to start planning that day. What night we'll do that, and how we're gonna do that, and start spreading the word. So we can see about getting some people on, popping on.
But I believe our actual anniversary is the 17th.
I think you might be right about that. I
don't think
we've
done 191 shows in 4 years.
I don't know if we can pull it off in 11 days or not, but we might.
Probably not.
Because we want to line up people to come on the show and whatever, and
you want to do it for that? Or you want to do it for 200?
I think kicking off
year 5.
Year 5 is a big deal, and 200 is going to be probably Christmas time, I would imagine, right?
What?
Oh no, wait, we're at 191, so it's in a couple of months from now.
We'll hit 200 before Labor Day.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be an
interesting
in 4 years we've missed 9 weeks. Oh yeah, what's your favorite venue for a sporting event?
Boy, lately it's my living room down here in the basement.
Yeah.
It really is. It's so expensive now to go to Fenway. It's just just ridiculous. Like it's crazy. So yeah, and I still have not seen a game at Gillette Stadium. Just a combination of the price, the fact that you're going to spend your entire day first getting there and then leaving is going to take you 2-3 hours, and it's like, do I want to spend 4 hours in traffic for something that's 15 minutes away from me?
Now, are you without giving away the specific town that you're in down there? Are you west of the city or south
of Boston?
Yeah,
southwest.
Okay.
So yeah.
I'm
in Medfield. I've said that on the show before, so that's not a. But yeah,
I went to one game at Gillette Stadium. It was the game they had the throwbacks on, and they crushed Tennessee 51-0.
Oh yeah.
And it was a 4:00 game, and we showed up, and I just had light stuff on because it was mid-October, and we walked in, and it was snowing, and then it turned to rain, then it went back to snow, and then it just got cold, and everybody was soaked, and I was soaked, and I'm like, I am not going to get sick. And as much as I've never been here and I want to see this, we were way up at the top. The wind was whipping. I was going into the bathroom. The bathroom was packed with people in there just warming up. They were out of cocoa. They were out of gloves. They were out of scarves. And so it was coming up on halftime, and I was like, I'm going back to the car. You can come with me or aboard it, but I'm freezing. And so we left at halftime. And you know something? There was a line of people leaving at halftime because the game was over. They were destroying them.
Yeah.
And it was just miserable conditions. That's the first time I went there. So every time I see highlights of that game, it's like I saw half of that, then went home and watched the rest of it. And I got home in like a half hour, 45 minutes, there wasn't a lot of traffic, but yeah, that kind of sucked,
Yeah. It's. Oh,
but it was a fun. The best venue I went to was probably the Bernie went to Fenway Park. It cost us 75 cents. Nice. I went to the original Boston Garden back in the day, and we got first row balcony seats.
Oh, nice.
Right on the blue line, and
Nice.
you were almost over the bench. So I mean, you were not like the Fleet Center, the whatever it is now. You are way back. No, these seats were. You were probably 8 rows from the ice in that balcony seat, and it was just sit there looking down. I was like, you could see everything. You were so close to the action. That was the best seat I ever had. Was there?
Yeah.
Bob says you haven't experienced cold until you go to a November or December game at Lambeau. Got pneumonia from a game there, the frozen tundra.
All right, here's a question for you. What stadium did John Facenda actually say had frozen tundra?
Minnesota?
Good guess. See if the chat gets it.
Minnesota's the one that would come to mind. Maybe Cleveland. But here's a good one here. Yeah, Bob's Tabletop Sports. Buffalo, man? Was that
No,
Bob?
because Buffalo hadn't played on grass since '72.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
We'll give it another minute or so.
Steve, where's the ukulele? You need to play that.
Jeopardy theme song.
That would be so awesome. PJ comes in with Detroit.
They haven't played on grass since '74.
Yeah, PJ, they haven't played on grass in '74. So you get this. Yeah, and this. And you get this. You get them all.
You get them all. Any more guesses?
Bernie, nope. Chicago?
Nope. Good guess, but not Chicago. They didn't play on grass until that. No, it wasn't Chicago. You guessed it, Dave. It was Cleveland.
Really?
It's in the highlight film from the playoff game versus Oakland in 1980. Red Right 88 was the first time that Facenda ever said the frozen tundra. I saw that in a YouTube clip, and again, it was Chris Berman that talked about the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. But the first time it was ever mentioned was Municipal Stadium in Cleveland.
They didn't mention that at the Green Bay game? That was not a frozen tundra?
No.
That was something added after?
Well, no. What happened was it wasn't supposed to freeze. Lombardi spent hundreds of thousands of someone else's money to put a full heating system under Lambeau Field, and it failed for the ice bowl. So part of the field was frozen and part of it was thawed.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts.
The great embarrassment of Vince Lombardi.
That fog
bowl. Chicago had the infamous fog bowl.
Is that against the Eagles in the playoffs?
Yes, rolled in at the half.
I love that. I love watching that. You couldn't see anything. Literally, the announcer's like, I can't see anything. And even the cameras on the ground were like that.
65,000 people at Soldier Field, and they couldn't see squat.
We had that at the hockey rink. We had there's a dryer at the ice hockey rink that keeps the fog out, and it went down one summer, and it was a brutal August day, and the whole rink was just fog, and the players are skating around. It looked like the 74-75 Flyers game out there in Buffalo, and you couldn't see anything. Literally, if you had the puck in one zone, you couldn't see the other goalie. It was that bad, and so I think we played one game and it just got so bad that the second game, people were like, yeah, we're not playing in this. It's just going to be too dangerous.
To get back to the fog ball, they asked the officials, why didn't you stop the game? And they said that at no point could we not see both goalposts.
Oh, really?
And so that was
that just must have settled like 15 feet in the air or something?
We could see, as long as we could see, could stand at one end zone and see the other set of goalposts. We knew that you could see enough to be safe. I mean, obviously, fans and television drive all that stuff, but we could see it. And so that's why. And I don't know.
Imagine paying to go to that game and being up there and like, I can't see nothing. Something to talk about, but
oh yeah,
you're not going to see anything.
But yeah, so I don't know what they would do if they had to stop a playoff game.
Oh,
how would
boy.
how would you reschedule that? Would you pick it up at? I mean, we had this Monday Night Football situation this past season, and they did the right thing by not. They didn't need to replay that game.
I would think they would just try to wait it out like a rain delay, and just give it half hour, 45 minutes to an hour to see if anything did anything, And if
but
it just
with
got
television
worse,
being such a tight schedule,
well, they have rain delays in baseball, right?
they do, but you're not trying to put in. I mean, a wild card weekend, you're trying to play, 3 games in a window where you give a game 3.5 hours.
I bet you there's someone that's making millions of dollars a year that's going to be paid to make that decision.
Yeah.
So we don't have to.
I can see where games would be postponed before they play. Yeah, the cameras couldn't see anything.
Yeah,
I'm not sure today, with technology being there, at least today they have the technology to overlay the yard markers on the field.
Yeah.
You see that with the snow.
Yeah. I don't like that.
It's weird.
I want to see the snow. I want to see what the players see. I don't care where we are, really.
Yeah, but yeah. But that's why they kept playing. We could see the other end zone from one.
All right, chat room. Any final questions before we wrap up here and we go get some dinner at 10 o'clock at night?
Oh,
you haven't eaten yet?
That's been a weird. I worked all day and then I had lunch and I crashed so I could get ready for tonight. So I'm on a roller coaster ride right now. And Bob says no repeat threat of the Heidi incident was probably a motivator too. Yeah,
that's in contracts. You can't cut out of a game.
Yeah, not after that. Yeah,
not after that.
Yeah, unbelievable. So, but anyway, well, that was a good time tonight. Chat room, thank you for showing up as we did a live viewing of the podcast here. Steve, thanks for coming by as well.
Yes. Thanks for having me. A lot of fun as always.
Yeah.
And congratulations on almost hitting 4 years and almost hitting 200. That's nice. Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Starting year 5 was like, wow.
So this show turns 4. My wife just had a round number birthday, and in early August
we turned 5 because we will have 4 complete.
Right. We turned 5 on the 17th.
Yeah.
My wife just turned a round number. I'll be nice and not say which round number. And my 25th wedding anniversary is in August.
Oh, nice.
And we should hit show 200 in August.
So it sucks you're going to have to postpone that 25th anniversary so we can do a 200 show.
It's a Tuesday.
Maybe we'll have her on the show. How about that? We'll wrap it all into one. It's episode 200 and the 25th wedding anniversary. Surprise.
It's a Tuesday.
Guess what I got
You'll
you?
be at
I got
the
your
rink.
webcam.
Only you, Gardner. Only
you. You got to have fun with it. You got to have fun. So, all righty. All right, folks, we're going to jump out here. Thanks for tuning in. And like I said, we'll have the audio version of this up probably early next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.